We've examined how pooling regional revenue into a Great Lakes Development Authority solves the financial side of Chicago's stadium problem. But the money is only half of the equation. The other half is a massive physical engineering challenge. Right now, there are 5 major professional sports stadium developments clustered within the Chicago core: the Bears, the White Sox, the Fire, the Bulls, and the Blackhawks. If these overlapping districts are fully built out, they create a localized density spike. We are looking at a peak capacity of 200,000 unique visitors trying to access the exact same geographic footprint simultaneously. How do you physically funnel 200,000 people into an already dense urban center all at once without triggering catastrophic region-wide gridlock? The success of this unified Renaissance campus requires moving away from car-centric infrastructure in favor of a unified, high-capacity rail network. The default municipal playbook assumes that any new stadium development mandates billions of dollars in new highway off-ramps and sprawling acres of surface parking. Applying that geometric model to a 21st century urban core is a mathematical failure. You end up destroying the very city blocks the stadium is supposed to revitalize just to store empty vehicles. We already have a localized control group proving cars are unnecessary. Look at Wrigley Field. For over a century, the CTA Red Line has effectively digested Wrigley's massive crowds. The surrounding neighborhood thrives specifically because it isn't swallowed by parking lots. Fans arrive on foot directly from the train station. PSC Chicago proposes scaling the logic found in Wrigleyville to a regional level to serve the entire Renaissance campus. If heavy rail can sustain 38,000 fans on the north side, deploying a high-capacity regional train network is the only geometric solution capable of absorbing 200,000 fans without choking the South Loop. This requires establishing a frictionless, inter-regional transit system. The scale shifts from the city of Chicago to the entire American Midwest. Consider the geographic flow of labor. Commuters from Northwest Indiana ride the South Shore Line directly into the city core. Simultaneously, passengers from West Michigan use Amtrak to reach that identical node. Meanwhile, western suburb residents bypass expressways, converging on the exact same footprint. For the user, this creates a single-ticket, one-seat ride straight to the doors of the stadium or the office, regardless of which state they started their morning in. Building this requires immense capital. That is where the stadiums do their job. They guarantee the massive, year-round foot traffic required to justify issuing the private bonds that will lay these new tracks. Under this model, the sports franchises provide the necessary economic gravity to underwrite a multi-state transit network. However, a specific physical obstacle currently severs this regional connectivity. This is the St. Charles Airline. It is a century-old elevated rail corridor wedged between 15th and 16th Streets, and it is entirely bottlenecked. This track layout diagram reveals the failure points. Notice the out-of-service bridge and disconnected blue lines. Commuter trains share tight corridors with slow-moving freight. Because passenger routes miss Union Station, Amtrak trains must execute a tedious backup maneuver to reach the platform. This proposed crosstown connector diagram outlines the solution. By constructing a new ramp, restoring the out-of-service bridge, and building a faster connection to the Rock Island line, the disjointed layout is bypassed. These specific engineering upgrades eliminate the freight conflict, providing the necessary clearance for the Metra electric line to reach the city core without interruption. Fixing this single mile of antiquated track acts as the literal bridge over decades of regional gridlock. That physical gridlock fuels a macroeconomic problem known as spatial mismatch. Spatial mismatch occurs when people needing employment are physically separated from primary job hubs by inadequate infrastructure. Historically, residents on Chicago's South Side have suffered acutely from this dynamic, cut off from the dense economic growth happening downtown and to the north. The human cost of this mismatch is a brutal daily commute. Reaching an advanced manufacturing or tech job often requires a 2-hour ordeal of waiting for buses, transferring between trains, and walking long blocks. This map details the Metra Crosstown Express. The northern segment establishes a frictionless express route from O'Hare Airport down to Union Station. Following the line south, connectivity expands through McCormick Place, the Obama Presidential Center, all the way to South Chicago. For a South Side resident, an exhausting 2-hour multi-transfer commute is replaced by a 20-minute direct ride into the economic core. The benefit flows in both directions. Employers in the downtown sector and out in Northwest Indiana immediately gain access to a massive, highly capable labor pool that was previously out of reach. This rail geometry bypasses the friction of Sunday traffic and dismantles 50 years of geographic isolation for the South Side. Executing a public works project of this magnitude reconnects the city to its original foundational civic vision. In 1909, architect Daniel Burnham presented a comprehensive plan to organize Chicago. Looking at Burnham's original blueprint, you can see how he sought to physically reorganize a chaotic, rapidly expanding city into a highly geometric, functional space with centralized transit hubs. His design intent for Chicago Union Station was for it to serve as a true omnidirectional hub, not the congested, dead-end terminal it often functions as today. The Sanders Plan establishes the physical connectivity required for Union Station to finally function as an omnidirectional terminal, linking Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Executing this infrastructure is the fulfillment of a century-old promise to the Midwest. Moving from these historic architectural blueprints to laying down actual physical concrete requires an immense amount of political capital. The immediate mandate for state lawmakers and city leaders is clear. They must stop reacting to fragmented serial requests from individual sports franchises, fighting over limited subsidies. This consolidated approach presents a unique, legacy-defining opportunity for Governor J.B. Pritzker to solve multiple looming crises with a single legislative stroke. Consolidating a tri-state workforce and a $7 billion superagency demonstrates a level of administrative coordination rarely achieved at the state level. By utilizing local revenue streams to bypass federal gridlock and rebuild the American Midwest, the administration establishes a governance model that rivals the world's largest regional economies. Establishing a record of this scale, managing international transit, multi-state trade, and regional revitalization provides the specific executive record needed for a 2028 national campaign. The Renaissance Campus provides the physical volume needed to forge a unified economic megaregion. It is time for civic leaders to abandon small, isolated thinking. To review the full Sanders Plan and the architecture of this regional strategy, visit pscchicagoillinois.com.